Welcome back to Growth Without Barriers. I'm Andrew Sherman from Jones Day, and I'm here with my co-host Karen Kerrigan from SBE Council. And we want to thank again our corporate sponsor, AT&T, for sponsoring these webcasts. Last week we were at a very interesting summit, a summit that just, I think, had its third anniversary, called Impact Entrepreneurship Education. And it was a summit devoted to various aspects of education and entrepreneurship, but the panel that you and I both participated on, I think, was the one that really stuck out in a lot of people's minds on crowdfunding.
Right. No, it was very exciting, and that's Impact, E-M-P-A-C-T. Did I spell that right?
Yes,
Impact. ImpactSummit.com if people want to find out more about it. Here, it's all about youth entrepreneurship education, and I met some incredible people. Not only all the folks involved with entrepreneurship education and trying to, embed education principles about entrepreneurship at very young levels in our educational system, all the way through the community college system,
right,
into universities, and even its post, lifelong learning of entrepreneurship. But there was 100 young entrepreneurs who were just phenomenal. I mean, I wish I knew what they knew when I was their age, who were starting some incredible businesses.
Right. Well, 2 quick points on entrepreneurship education in general, and then I want to turn to the crowdfunding. One of the things that's very, very important for our viewers to understand is that, back in the late 80s, entrepreneurship did not appear as a discipline in most business schools. I started teaching at University of Maryland in '88, a course on entrepreneurship, and many of the professors at the business school were against it. They said, well, you're interested in small business entrepreneurship, just go to the SBA. We don't need a topic like that, diluting marketing and management and operations and other big management disciplines. And of course, dial forward 25 years, and almost every business school in the country has some entrepreneurship curriculum. And to begin conveying a summit in Washington to talk about the quality of that education and share curriculum is very, very important. It's time that we're all having a higher level discussion on what kinds of things should be in the classroom taught about entrepreneurship and what things shouldn't. The second point is, you mentioned the youth. One of the people I think sitting at your table was an old friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while, Steve Mariotti, who's with National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Steve's story is very interesting. In the early 80s, was actually mugged in New York, and decided that rather than being angry with the kids that mugged him, he would give them an alternative to street crime and gangs and teach them how to be entrepreneurs. And so in many ways, Steve's program has evolved as kind of a junior achievement for the inner city, which is very interesting. And of course, he's been one of the pioneers in bringing entrepreneurial education initiatives into some of the most troubled neighborhoods around our country, around the world.
I was going to say, not only around the country, but around the world. I mean, he said that they're now bigger in Saudi Arabia and in China than they are in the United States. So, yeah, he's doing just tremendous stuff globally. And, it's interesting. What still gets me is these dropout statistics among youth. Someone drops out every 9 seconds, I believe the stat is. But 90% of those in a survey they did of dropouts said that if they taught content that was relevant to their lives, or relevant, that they would stay in school. And I think entrepreneurship is one way, owning something, controlling something, having some fate, over your destiny is a way to, to bridge, meet that need, of these young people who really don't see that much hope.
Well, not only is it, I think your point about it being a global solution to a more stable society, ties to some of the work that, you and I now both do on the board of SITE.
Right.
We've got the big entrepreneurship summit in Chicago coming up in April, and we could talk more about that in another segment. But entrepreneurship as a key tenet of economic development and job creation and just a personal pride and personal development is really something that's become a very global phenomenon.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And when you look at the average age of the globe, I think it's 27.
Yep.
27.
Just a year or two younger than you and I.
Exactly. I know.
Or half, right?
Right, but it's true. I mean, entrepreneurship really, is the new economic development.
It is.
And everyone wants to I think countries are really beginning to understand that in order to have job growth and stability, political stability, and economic growth in their country, they really do need to address this whole jobs issue, which comes from entrepreneurs.
Which means you have to have an ecosystem that is not oppressive to the entrepreneur or overly burdensome, which is what we'll be discussing in some of our upcoming segments in relation to the upcoming election.
Absolutely.